kasi medyo marami po ang mga programs namin for character formation because of the clients change, the parents and the teachers. So parang every year wala na kaming ginawa kundi maghanap ng bagong magiging relevant para sa kanila, timely and relevant, at saka yung papatok ba sa kanila, bibili nila. Kasi iba yung generation ngayon. Ako senior citizen na ako, no? Generation kasi namin nung pag sinabi ng teacher, susunod na lang kami. So ngayon iba, hindi sila maraming mga tanong. So parang ngayon you really have to consider ano bang gusto nito mga batang ito? Ano yung papatok sa kanila? So the program of I Grew, wala akong slides kasi my intention was just to listen to ceremony for the 5 days na yan. So anyway, sabi ko why not, it is my duty to share. Kasi character formation ito wala naman tayong, hindi ko naman kayo kalaban pagdating doon sa mga performance ng schools, no, you're not my competition naman. So anyway, this is character formation which has to be shared, hindi dapat naming itago lang. So marami po yan. Okay, I'll just talk about two, yung pinakahuli namin nung nakaraang taon, and this was about the program we came up with for high school. Ang high school, napakahirap na na kliyente, no? Para turuan ng character formation. Ang character formation kasi natin, as what we've been hearing from Sir Man for the past days, hindi siya pwedeng salita lang. It has to be you have to act on it. Kailangang ma-translate natin into action. Makita nila sa atin. So talagang mahirap. Meron pa nga isang participant na nagtanong na how can I teach character formation or yung those values, ako mismo may problema. So okay, let's put that aside. Pero last year, nakita namin na ito talaga, nakita namin yung result sa mga high school. We divided the whole high school population into 4. Tapos lahat nagkaroon sila ng isang outreach project. Tapos proseso po yan, hindi lang basta outreach project kayo, humanap kayo ng recipient ng inyong outreach project. May prosesong pinagdaanan, sino yung mga candidates ninyo, who are the NGOs ninyo na gusto ninyong tulungan, no? So anyway, ito yung nabuo namin. We have to adopt one that has something to do with PWD. And then another group of high school students will have to adopt senior citizen naman, yung mga abandoned elders. And then we have another group ng high school students, they will be adopting yung nursery naman, yung mga bata doon sa mga public schools. So what happened was, okay, get to know them. So we send them out. Punta kayo doon sa mga schools na yan, o doon sa mga yung balak ninyong gamitin o balak ninyong i-adopt pala for your outreach project. Punta kayo doon, interviewin ninyo sila. You yourself find out what are their needs. Pero ito po, ang needs kasi, itong problema ng outreach natin sa outreach muna ako. Sa outreach, akala lang natin, okay, kolekta kayo, donations. Pagkatapos, pagkakuha natin ng donations, o dalhin nyo na dun sa recipient. Pagdating dun sa recipient, picture, pagkatapos goodbye, ay hindi po ganoon ang outreach. Hindi ganoon ang outreach. Sa amin sa Morning Star, ay it's not just the donation. Secondary lang po ang donation sa amin. Ang what is important for us, para matawag namin, ma-qualify according sa namin, sa criteria namin. For your project to qualify as an effective outreach, kailangan merong immersion. So yung immersion namin sa kanila, isang araw lang naman yun. We don't want our students to expose them doon sa mga recipient, kasi may klase pa sila. Saka some parents will not allow that. So what we do, isang araw pupunta kayo doon sa DSWD na mga abandoned elders. Anong gagawin nyo doon? Okay yan, maganda yan. Ang dami nyo nakuha mga donations. Pero itabi mo lang yan kasi hindi yan ang purpose ng pagpunta natin. We want you to go there and spend time with them. So gumagawa po sila ng programa. So they entertain the elders. Ito sa elders lang ito, no? Iba rin ang nangyayari dun sa PWD. Ito sa mga, meron pa silang isa, the blind and the deaf and mute. Meron din kaming ganyan. So they entertain, they come up with programs to entertain, and they mingle with them. what is the purpose? You make them feel that they are important. So yung pong isang napakagandang na naramdaman namin was a project we did in somewhere up there in the north. So, meron pong may dalang pagkain, nagpa-cater kami dun sa mga bata. Ito yung mga underprivileged, no, galing sila sa bundok. So nagpa-cater kami sa kanila ng pagkain. So doon nakalatag na yung ano no, yung talagang masaganang pagkain sa kanila. Did you know na ang ginawa ng mga bata, hindi sila pumasok doon sa kwarto, doon sa room, sa mess hall. Nakalatag doon yung naka-cater kasi. So ayaw nilang pumasok. So kung nasaan na yung mga bata? So kung may mga teachers nagkakagulo, nasaan na yung mga bata? Nawala sila. Ayaw nilang pumasok kasi hindi po kami pwedeng pumasok diyan. Bakit? Hindi po eh. Kasi nga ang itsura nila, no, thinking of themselves as who are we para to deserve a seat, a chair in that grand room na where the food, a feast was laid out on the table. Sabi ko, ay grabe. Alam niyo po ang dating nun sa aming mga teachers, grabe talaga. I mean, itong mga batang ito, ano, ang tingin nila sa sarili nila, wala kaming halaga. Kaya sabi namin, ay hindi. So labas kami, teary-eyed na kami nung bakit ganun ang iniisip nila sa sarili nila na wala kaming halaga. So we went out, kasi may makasama rin kasi may mga bata eh. So hindi, pasok tayo, parang barkada tayo. Halika. Wala sa aming teacher Hedy, wala sa aming teacher May, wala. Lahat kami, nakadamit kami ng kung ano, naka-t-shirt lang kami. Hindi, halika, pasok tayo sa loob. And then ayun. We told the people in charge of the children, sana ho mabigyan natin sila ng halaga. May pakita natin sila sa kanila na sila ay mahalaga. So ang sabi namin, hindi kami ang guest ninyo. Hindi kami ang guest ninyo dito. Dito sa today, what is happening here, we are not your guests. Kayo ang aming guest of honor. So binaliktad ho namin, pinaupo namin sila at kami na dapat nakaupo doon sa presidential table, wala kaming no sense. Pakialis po ninyo, ma'am, sir, pakialis ninyo yung presidential table na yan. Hindi niyo po kami bisita. Kami po ay nandito para gawing bisita itong mga batang ito. So kami ho ang nag-serve. So we thought para sa amin, that's one way of telling them, making them feel, kahit na isang beses lang namin ginawa yun, sa buong taon na kami lang ang nakapunta doon para pagsilbihan sila. For them to think about it na, no, may halaga kayo, hindi kayo abandoned, hindi kayo yung the menace of the society. Hindi, nandito kami yung mas makasalanan pa nga kami kung tutusin kaysa sa inyo eh. So that's our outreach. Hindi pagdala ng donation, kundi find a day, a time. The time is so precious. It doesn't have to be 2 days, 3 days, hindi. Yung oras lang na yon, at least nandoon ka ng kalahating araw. You play with them, you dine with them. Kung kumakain sila na nakakamay, so nakakamay din kami. Yung makita lang nila na, no, may halaga kayo. Pero alam nila, uy, nanggaling yan sa Morningstar Montessori. Kasi pagdating namin, dala-dala namin yung aming mga sasakyan. Pero doon nila nakita na, hindi. No such thing. Lahat tayo, pare-pareho tayo. Yun. So that's our definition of an outreach. And that we did for the high school students. Yun ho, sasabihin ko sa inyo, ang ganda ng effect. Ang ganda na, because at the end of the school year, it's not because of the grades that they will get mula doon sa kanilang mga reports. Hindi yun eh. Kundi mabasa mo yung sinabi ng mga bata, talagang maiiyak ka na sabihin nila, hindi namin akalain na napakaswerte pala namin. Di ba, ang mga bata ngayon, yung self-entitlement, ay hindi, kailangan may bagong phone ako, kailangan may ganito ako. Parang, wow, excuse me, no, buti nga, pinapag-aral pa kita eh. Hindi ba natin pwedeng sabihin sa kanila yun? But make them see how fortunate they are. So, yung the groups that they adopted, doon nila nakita. Sabi nga nila, hindi namin nakalain, napakaswerte pala namin. So, it made them realize how important yung gratitude, we were able to inject that in them. You be grateful to your parents. Ang galing nga ninyo, meron kayong ganito, meron kayong ganyan. Tingnan niyo yung mga pinuntahan ninyo. And the privileges that you're enjoying from your parents, from the school, they don't have that. So they began to share, and then in the process, nagkaroon ka we were able to inject in them the value of gratitude. So it's not just teaching gratitude, hindi, humanap ka ng paraan kung saan nila makikita doon na, ay oo nga, napakaswerte ko pala, may buhay ako. Yan, okay. So yan yung aming sa high school. Last year lang namin yan sinimulan kasi we are in the process of paikot-ikot lang kami, hindi kami pwedeng tumigil. Ito na yung program na sinabi ni Dr. Licona, sabi ni ni Dr. Barba, ito daw maganda. Hindi po pwede eh. Parang, okay, maganda nga po yan sa papel, pero hindi yung ganyan kasi yung estudyante. Hindi, ang ganda lahat ng sinasabi nila, ang ganda lahat, pero kunin mo yun to inspire you, to be your reference. Pero hindi, gagawa ka ng sarili mong programa. Kasi iba ang kliyente mo, iba ang kliyente ng school ko, iba rin ang kliyente mo. So talagang go down, you have to be with them. Hindi pwedeng no such thing as planner. Kailangan sumama ka sa kanila. Ang elementary naman namin, kasi ano na yan, sanay na dun sa mga door of kindness, nanghihinawa na sila dun sa door of kindness. So ginawa naman namin ngayon, 30-day challenge. So may bago kami, 30-day challenge. So ayun, madami mapakulo. Pero ito na, last topic ko na ito. Itong pandemic ngayon, ay kami po ay nataranta. Una-una ang eskwelahan, when we received the award from Catalyst, from the character, ano na nga ba, Sir Manny yun?
CEP, Character Education Partnership.
Sa CEP. Nung na-receive po namin yan, ang tingin namin doon, actually, we did not flaunt that. Pwede naman lang i-flaunt yan eh. Parang, mga school, mga parents, dito kayo magpa-enroll kasi kami ay winner o kami ay awarded as this. We never include that in our, parang wala, hindi po kami nag-a-advertise eh. Ang eskwelahan namin ay hindi nag-a-advertise. Kung meron kaming, kasi pressured by the parents, teacher head din naman, i-advertise mo naman, ang daming pumasa sa Philippine Science High School, ang daming pumasa dito, number 1 tayo dito, number 1 dito. I-advertise mo naman, ganyan no ang parents eh. So parang pressured na rin kami, sige, advertise mo na lang. Pero dito sa character formation, hindi kami nag-advertise. Unang-una, parang it defeats the purpose eh. Yabang kasi yun eh. Kung we're happy and we're so honored that we were given. Parang gusto ko nga sabihin kay Sir Manny, sigurado ka ba we deserve that? Why? Kami yung grupo namin sa school, the character formation team, iniiyakan namin yan eh, parang kulang pa. Parang palagi pumapasok sa isip namin, kulang pa. Akala ba ninyo you're teaching like Christ? Hindi kaya. Wala pa kayo sa kalingkingan. But God, we're doing the best we can. Pero may failures pa rin. Ano ang gusto namin mangyari? Sana we would be able to create that heaven on earth in our school. Kahit nasa eskwelahan lang namin. Kaya sabi ko nga, we're willing to share the I grew. I grew stands for I, a small I, humility. The G, wala po kong slides kasi. The G stands for gratitude, R, resilience, E, empathy, and W for wisdom. Yan po yung aming core values. So, nilagyan namin. Mga teachers din yan at mga bata ang gumawa nung they coined that word, I grew. So anyway, yun po yun. Salamat na bigyan kami ng award. Pero para sa amin po, hindi eh. Ano lang yun, parang, sige, just a validation. You're on the right track. Sabi ni Sir Manny kanina, GMRC, kami po ay 38 years old na, ang eskwelahan, 38 years old na. For the past siguro kalahati ng taon na yan, hindi lang mga 10 years ago, we've decided, teka, mali ang ating mali ang tinatahak nating landas eh. Masyado tayong concerned sa academics. Nako, sinasabi ko sa inyo, hindi ako nagyayabang, pero tanungin niyo sa Laguna kung anong pangalan ng Morningstar, number 1 dito, number 1 dyan. Pero mga 10 years ago, we had that feeling na, mali talaga, hindi tama ang tinatahak nating landas. This is not why God gave us Morningstar. 100 and more employees. Parang nandito tayo hindi by chance. Pero kaya tayo nandito, okay, tama, ang gagaling natin sa science, sa math, talaga naman lalabat, talaga naman namamayagpag hanggang sa international eh. Pero okay na yon, happy ka na? Ay hindi po kami happy. Nahiya po kami sa sarili namin na ang binigyan namin ng attention ay yung academics, and we failed to mold the character of the children. So 10 years ago, we said, it was actually more than 10 years ago, we said, okay, palit. Kung 50-50, pwede ba gawin mo na lang 70-30? Ano ibig sabihin nun? We want 70% more of your time devoted on character formation. Okay na yung 30%? Yan naman ang galing naman sa math niyan titingnan mo nung naging mayor, di puro kurakot ang ginawa. Ay kasi nakalimutan mo yung 70%. Dan kasi kaya okay na yan. Ang galing naman dito sa sabi nila ano bang gagawin ko doon sa ano ba to? Mahina kasi ako sa sa physics, sa mga geometry, mga yan, mga raised to the second power. Parang hindi ko makailangan sa buhay yan. Pagpunta mo sa palengke, hindi na bili nga ako ng isda raised to the second power. Wala namang ganun Parang hindi ko makailangan yan. Pero yung values, ando doon yun. Uy, wag ka naman mandaya. Nagkamali na nga si Manang, bigyan ka na nga ng sobrang sukli sayang ito, akin na lang. Walang ganunan. So parang, and the feeling that you get from doing good, ay sabi sa'yo, fantastic. Fantastic ang feeling na nakagawa ka. Naka 100 ka nga, pero sama naman ang ugali mo. Yung parang sabi nila, you are schooled but you are not educated. Parang may mali. So, ayan, diyan kami napunta. And then by chance lang naman na nakilala ko si Sir Manny. So, binigyan kami ng award. Parang, wow, ang galing. May award. Sigurado kami. Bigyan ko talaga ng award. So, anyway, happy kami sa award. Nawawala, Sir Manny, yung malaking certificate. Hindi ko makita. Parang God is telling me, kulang ka pa kasi. So, anyway, wow, Sir, Ma'am. Hindi ko lang mapakita sa inyo ngayon kasi nagmamadali ako na at saka mawawala na ako nagluko yung aking computer. So sabi ko kanina umaga sa team, alam nyo parang ayaw ata ipa-share yung ginagawa natin ngayon. Kaya sabi lang, ma'am, hindi, all the more. Nasira po yung aking computer na 2 taon pa lang ito. So ayaw ko kung ano nangyari. So anyway, bibilisan ko na talaga. Ang ginawa ko namin ngayon, kasi paano kami magtuturo ng character formation? Nasaan na yung mga programs namin? Wala, nandoon sila sa bahay. Ang kagandahan po nito, kasi ang mga magulang natin nakadepend sa atin. Pag nawala ho ako, di goodbye na lang kasi, ang nangyari ngayon, okay, di ba? Yan. Kasi ayaw ninyo kaming tulungan Lahat na lang iniminasa ninyo sa amin sa school. O di ngayon, kayo na ngayon, nandiyan ang mga anak ninyo sa bahay. Kayo ngayon ang magturo ng character formation. Hindi namin yan ginawa. Gawa yan ng pandemic. So if there's something that I should be thankful for was wow na ang mga parents, whether they like it or not, ang anak ninyo nasa bahay. Okay, ay nako, hindi kayo pwede magturo ng 8 hours online. Masisira ang mata ng mga bata at magkakasakit. Itimanda kayo ng mga parents nila. O sige, so ano lang daw pwede, sabi ng DepEd, yun lang daw major subjects. Ay paano ang character formation? Ayan daw po ay mapupunta doon sa, anong tawag nila doon, yung hindi essential, yung non-essential. Ganon? Ilang oras? Hindi kami makakapag online, yung synchronous na tinatawag. Hindi. Ay nako, modules na lang. So ngayon, doon sa modules, doon kami bumawi sa modules. Now, pwede ko na bang sabihin, Teacher Hedy, kaya mo na bang sabihin na naging effective ka? I think so. Bakit? Nagalit kasi sa akin yung mga parents. Ano ba itong mga activities na pinagpapagawa ninyo? Sabi ko, ayan. So ngayon, umepekto ngayon. Yung mga pinadadala namin sa kanilang activities sa school, ipinasa namin sa kanila and then graded. Send your 2-minute video of your family bonding doing this and doing that. So napilitan sila kasi kinulit sila ng mga anak nila. So yung family bonding, yun we were able to address that. Pero it wasn't easy. The first quarter, nagalit sa amin na maraming parents, pero marami din parents na nagsabi na, thank you so much. I discovered that I can sing. I discovered that my mom can play this and that. Family bonding po yun. Doon tayo kailangan magsimula. Make the family whole again. Kasi hindi tayo makakapagturo ngayon ng kanilang values. It is the parents. The parents are the ones who should teach them the values. And you start with bonding. Make them understand, you guys, you exist. Your parents exist. Mamaya yan, dadating, sabi sa amin ng isang parent, ako ay frontliner, ang daming assignment na binigay. Sa family, sayang nga lang hindi ko mabibigyan ng pagkakataon na ipakita sa inyo yung module na ginawa namin na termed as family activity. So family activity, yan, you write down the things that you have done, the good things that you have done for today sa mga kapatid mo. Ay, hindi po ganun ang sistema. Hindi po. Yesterday, I was very busy working on teaching the value of resolving conflict. Paano mo ituturo yung resolving conflict? Paano mo ituturo yung peace? How are you going to teach value of human life? Meron po ako na-discover, so we use YouTube. Ang laki ng tulong sa amin ng YouTube. In YouTube, there's a 15-minute video clip ng what happened in 1914 World War I. The Christmas truce. It's the war against British and Scottish against the Germans. There is that portion, 14-minute lang ho yun. They decided to lay down their arms kasi Christmas Eve. Kumanta ng Silent Night, kumanta ng Adeste Fidelis. Paano napunta naman yun sa topic of music? I was teaching them Renaissance. And then the featured instrument was bagpipes. And the bagpipes were used by the musicians during that time to lead the army in the battlefield. So, paano mo naman naisip yung Teacher Hedy? Ay, ewan ko, basta type lang ako ng type. At habang nagta-type ako, at habang I'm doing my searching, my surfing, may dasal na pong kasama yun. Diyos ko, turo mo naman sa akin kung paano ko to ibibigay sa kanila. And then out of the blue, I was ready to submit my module for music. It came out. 14-minute video clip. Sayang nga, hindi ko may papakita sa inyo. But if you have time, i-click lang ninyo yun sa YouTube. Christmas Truce, 1914. The film is Joy You, Silent X, Joy You Noel. You know, ang gandang gamitin siya para ituro. Nako talaga, sabi sa inyo, the teachers alone, 14 minutes, we couldn't help but cry. The value of human life. Ano ang pinakamagandang ito ay tuturo ko sa kanila? Resolving conflict. Ang resolving conflict, yung ba yung nangyari lang sa war? Hindi po. Sa bahay, sa kapatid ko, nanay, tatay ko. And that's a family activity. What do I mean by family activity? Nakalagay po doon, invite your parents, the whole family, to sit down for 14 minutes and watch this video clip. And then take a picture of yourselves. So ngayon may pruweba. And then we tell the parents, sabi kasi ng ibang matatalinong parents, ay Teacher Hedy, bawal yan ha. Ano yan, DPA. Ay hindi naman sir, mag-submit na lang kasi kayo. Gusto pa ninyo akong lusutan. I-submit ho ninyo yan at yan ay i-delete namin pagkatapos. So ayun. So ngayon, we were able to achieve yung family bonding through the modules. Wala po kami magawa. Hindi kami makapagturo. They could not even see our faces. So ang ginamit ko ngayon yung YouTube. Panay naman yung YouTube ninyo eh. Tapos gumamit kami ng film. Totoo pong nangyari ito noong 1914. So true to life. So gumagamit kami ngayon sa modules namin, ang ginagamit namin to get the attention of the reader, of the students, and involving the family, we use real life stories. Resilience. Nako, ang dami nyo makikita dyan na mga tunay na pangyayari sa mga disabled people and how they were able to go through. Resilience po yan, go through that. Empathy. The love and care that they got from their parents. So ang ginamit namin ngayon, yun ang may share ko sa inyo for this time ng pandemic na hindi tayo makapagturo sa kanila and they're not there in school. Yung mga projects namin, wala. Kailangan namin isang tabi na lang muna. So ang nangyari ngayon, module. And through the module, you just have to come up with an activity na surefire na talagang they will not only enjoy, it's relevant, they can anong tawag mo nito, yung they can adapt to it, linya nila ito yung videos na yan mga songs, even songs we use music like yung itong Beauty and the Beast. Ang Beauty and the Beast, ang ganda rin po na maituturo niya. So you listen to the song. Bakit napasok si Beauty and the Beast? Kasi ang topic ko noon ay harp. Bakit? Nasa medieval kami, medieval period. And the featured instrument is harp. Yun ang pinili namin. So there's a beautiful rendition of the Beauty and the Beast using the harp. So connected pa rin ho dun sa lesson ko. Pero sit down, invite your family, sit down. You must have you must have eaten your dinner already. Sit down. This will just only take 5 minutes of your time. So wow, the parents now understand. We're not after the grade ho. We're after that time that you will be able to sit down together. When was the last time you did that? It was only because of the pandemic. At hindi rin na natin masasabi na pandemic did it all. Hindi. Kasi the first time it happened in March and April, nataranta po tayo. Saan ako kukuha ng pambayad ng tuition fee? Paano yung negosyo ko bumagsak? And the children, our students, they feel that. Kaya hindi lang natin alam, but they themselves are going, they went through. Kung nakasurvive na sila ngayon, they went through hell. Kasi wow, ba't ako ngayon nasa bahay? So kung na-stress tayo, maaaring hindi lang natin nakikita, but our children are also suffered just the same. They felt what mom and dad, they're arguing, what's the worry all about, what's all of this, what's the issue? Kasi nga hindi natin nakalain na mangyayari sa atin ito. And you know what? Ititip ko na rin sa inyo to. Yung sabi ko hindi pa sana ititip sa inyo eh. At the end of the school year, Morning Star, ayan na ho, mawawala na ho ako nito, no? Ayaw pa siguro, Sir Manny, ayaw siguro talaga ipa-share. Sorry. Something went wrong with my computer. Pero while
okay,
nobody can stop me, I just
good.
have to share with you how important character formation, especially ngayong pandemic. Sorry sir, ano na, talaga mawawala na ako.
No problem.
So, sige,
okay.
sir. Back to you,
Great.
Sir Manny.
Well, no, that's a lot already that you shared with us. Thank you, Teacher Hedy. Can I invite everyone to give a virtual clap or type here in the chat box? Thank you, Teacher Hedy. Salamat, Teacher Hedy. That's a lot of fantastic ideas. And actually, what I want to say is, if only we have more time, we need the whole day to listen to Morning Star Montessori School about the so many strategies that they use in order to push character formation. We barely scratched the surface today. There are many more really that we can get from them. And in the future, hopefully, we will have, when the computer is more fully charged, Teacher Hedy, we will give you more time to share with us all those wonderful ideas. Fantastic, great. So, bottom line is we are not just after the grades, as Teacher Hedy repeatedly mentioned, but we are after seeing the young people grow up to be good men and women. Dr. Borba says this, the first step in teaching moral example or moral intelligence is by being a moral example. So we have heard that over and over, that it is through our example. Okay, so let's go to grit, the first of the three. And I'd like to start by first showing you this, let me see, I hope I was able to share the sound. Okay, this video, I'd like to share with you a series of Jollibee commercials. They are not our sponsors, but they just keep on coming up with videos that perfectly many times encapsulate what I want to express. And so here's the first of the Jollibee videos I'd like to share with you.
Joey anak, makinig ka mabuti. Kunin mo yung rose, tapos ikalat mo yung petal sa sahig. Lagyan mo hanggang dun sa may pinto. Yung mga lobo, dapat red. Isang dosena, ha? Yung chicken joy, puro tayo dapat, ha? Huwag mong kalimutan, favorite yan ni mama. Oh, kunin mo na yung bouquet. Hindi kumpleto pag wala yan.
Ma?
Hi, Han. Happy Valentine's Day. Sorry, wala ako dyan. Hindi na ako umabot eh. Han, sorry. Ipinili na kita kay Joey. Siya na rin ang Valentine's date mo.
Happy Valentine's Day, Ma.
Gusto ko masaya kayo. Lagi niyo isipin, mahal na mahal ko kayo.
tayo, Ma.
Okay, so that's the first video. Grit, defined by the renowned expert because of her book, Angela Duckworth, as passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. And yes, this is in crisis. Grit is in crisis because the young people today masyadong nasanay sa instant. Everything has to be instant. Di ba? Um, Parang nung bata ako, pagka tumawag ako ng telephone, landline, tapos may party line system pa. And then somebody will answer, hello, ay dial ulit kayo, party line to. I would not get angry, I would not get upset because that's the reality of life that time. Today, yung mga bata, pag nag-text, kailangan gusto nila sumagot ka kagad. Kasi kung hindi, ang feeling nila, sin-zoned sila. Ay, teka muna, hindi ka na sin-zone. Busy lang, may ginagawa lang. Nasa CR lang, hindi makasagot kagad. Parang kailangan instant, no? Lahat dapat instant. So, nawawala itong grit, persevering, putting in passion, even if it becomes difficult, even if it is more challenging, it's in crisis. Lalo na because they live in an environment right now that para bang everything has to be instant. Okay? Observe how young people take their instant Lucky Me Mommy noodles. Yan. 'Di ba? You put hot water, ano? Tapos nakasulat sa instruction wait 3 minutes. 3 minutes maghintay ka. Abay hindi, ang mga bata ngayon paglagay ng mainit na tubig, tatakpan, every 1 minute, kailangan titingnan kung malambot na, pwede na ba to? Pwede. Even the 3 minutes is too long. So, grit is challenged. It's in crisis because ibang klase ang takbo ng environment. The opposite of grit is what is being fostered by the environment. So, grit will have these 5 characteristics. And as we go through each one of them, you're going to see, kaya pala may problema ang mga bata ngayon sa ganyan because the environment is like this. So number 1, halimbawa, nandyan yung courage. Courage. It's not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. How then will you explain bakit ang daming nade-depress ngayon? How then do you explain bakit ang dami biglang cases of suicide among teenagers? Aba, bakit ganun? They don't have the courage to face difficulties. They don't know difficulties. They don't know how to face difficulties. And yes, some parents are guilty kung bakit walang courage ang maraming kabataan. There are many parents today na ang mindset nila is, kailangang hindi maramdaman o maranasan ng anak ko ang aking hirap na pinagdaanan. Maraming mga magulang na ganyan, na when they were younger, they went through tough times. I mean, we, older generation, went through tough times. For example, nung bata ako, wala namang air-conditioned buses. Walang air-conditioned buses. Lahat ng buses, regular, walang aircon. Meron nag-umpisa nung mga 1980s lang yung Love Bus. Ayan, yung Love Bus. Yun yung unang air-conditioned buses, di ba? Pero ngayon, aba, majority of the buses are air-conditioned and parang, ba't ka sasakay ng hindi air-conditioned? So, parang the idea na naghirap ako nung bata ako, I want my son, my daughter now, not to experience what I had to go through. Some parents protect their kids from difficulties, from hardships. Kaya ngayon, ang lakas ng pressure for parents to be to have more resources, to have more money, to have more income, kasi ayaw nilang maranasan ng kanilang anak ang kanilang hirap na pinagdaanan. And that is making courage suffer. They don't know anymore how to suffer. Many young people today, especially those who come from very rich families, for example, na the parents can give their children anything they want. And then there are parents who are what we call overprotective. Ah, that's what's bringing about the crisis in grit, in resilience, and then in courage. Conscientiousness. What is this conscientiousness? Being thorough, careful, or vigilant. Naalala ko nung ginagawa ko yung thesis ko sa UST when I was doing my undergrad and then, yeah, my undergrad thesis, I had to use the typewriter. Typewriter ang ginamit ko para sa thesis ko. Tapos naalala nyo yung typewriter na kakabahan ka, kasi nung time na yon wala pa nga yung mga whiteout eh. Kaya pagka nagkamali ka, uy, uulitin mo yung buong page. Especially yung thesis advisor ko, very strict, ang taas ng standards. Bawal sa kanya yung maduming paper. So, pagka lumampas na ako sa kalahati ng page, kinakabahan na ako kasi one mistake and I will need to repeat the whole page. Not the kids today. The kids today can make 1,000 mistakes on a page. Backspace lang yan. Delete lang yan. Cut lang yan. May spell checker pa, kaya they can be careless and the machine is going to automatically correct. In other words, they now lose what we call attention to details. Di ba? I mean, this is the problem now among many young kids. Parang they're not conscientious. Conscientious, as thorough, as careful, and as vigilant as what we were or how we were, because the environment in our time, my age, my generation, required it of us in the situation. And then there's perseverance. Grit means perseverance. Kahit na naghihirap ka na, get on with it. Don't stop until you reach your goal. To start and continue steadfastly on the path towards any goal you set. I have seen the so-called millennial sickness. May kilala akong teacher, nag-umpisa sa eskwelahan. Aba, after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, he stopped coming to class. Walang text, walang email, walang information, wala. And then you hear again from him weeks later to tell you na naghanap na siya ng ibang trabaho. But, teka muna, pumirma ka ng kontrata, you realize? Ay, teka muna, when you signed the contract, you committed yourself to teach and to take care of the class. Wala, ayaw niya na. And then, gumawa na lang ng all sorts of excuses na nagkasakit, and mind you, I have seen that happen not just to one millennial, not just to 2 teachers. I know at least of 4 or 5 cases like that. Mag-uumpisa ng trabaho, and then after a few weeks, quit. Ayaw na. Where's perseverance there? Where's commitment there? Parang, so, now, let's not generalize. Not all millennials are like that. I have met millennials who have perseverance, who have grit, who have resilience, who grew up to be fantastic people. Pero grit is in crisis because of this absence of this specific element of perseverance. The young people need to learn how to stick to a commitment they make. Resilience. We're going to talk more about that later on, but it is one of the characteristics of grit, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. Sabi ng research, the young people today, teachers, I need you to understand this very clearly so that we know how to help young people who are going through crisis, depression. Sabi ng research, the young people today see suicide not just as um, the a tragic end. They look at suicide as just one more option. Many young people today see suicide as just one more among many options. I mean, for us, we look at it, that's tragic, that's horrible. I mean, for someone to even consider ending his life is terrible. And yet, sabi ng research, because of the prevalence of this um, problem, of many cases of depression and teenage suicide, now they are beginning to see it as only, it's just one more option. I can take it if that's the only one I have left. It's bad. We need to develop in the mindset of the young people, uy, hang tough. Come on. Uh, Be resilient. Stand up. Everybody commits mistakes. Yesterday, I showed you some of those headlines of a teenager nagpakamatay dahil nahirapan sa online classes. Teenager nagpakamatay kasi hindi nakapasa sa entrance exam ng kanyang dream school. Teenager nagpakamatay kasi binasted ng boyfriend. I mean, no, we have to make the young people see um, life for what it is. They have to have resilience, and then they have to have passion, deep sense of purpose, to the point that they can commit themselves to something. Sabi ng simbahan, sure, problema natin itong ano no, yung RH na naging law, tapos contraception. But you know what? Sabi ng simbahan, mas malaking problema in fact is people who don't get married in the church anymore. They cohabitate. They live in without the sacrament of marriage. Of course, from the um, from the mind of canon law, they're living in sin. That's adultery, actually. That's not love. I mean, love is not the only reason for coming together. You have to have that love blessed by the sacrament of marriage between a man and a woman. So, itong sense of commitment. In the United States, for example, many people, they don't buy wedding rings. They rent wedding rings with the idea that, anyway, this may not be permanent. Asa ng deep sense of purpose, passion. So, um, grit is characterized by people having passion that they can commit themselves to something for life, not for a few weeks, not for a few months, but for a long-term goal. Here are 7 ways I'd like to share with you to develop grit among your children or among the students that you handle. Number 1, ignite their passion. What I love so much about what Teacher Hedy mentioned about organizing outreach activities is I hope activities like that can ignite the passion of the young people to be of service to others, to make a difference in the lives of others, to make the world a better place. So, take them to see or do something they've never done before. Do the new activity with them, and then, after finishing the activity, ask how did they like it? What did you learn? You see how wonderful it is to see other people happy when you serve them, when you reach out to them, more than just the donations of goods, as Teacher Hedy was saying. It's that giving them a sense of dignity, making those people in the peripheries, the poor, the neglected, the lonely, the abandoned, the sick, to make them realize that life is still worth living. There are still people who care, and more than that, the effect on the students themselves. This is great. I want to do this as my profession, reaching out, helping, serving. I want to have this not just as a once a year thing, but as something I will do very regularly, very often, and I'm going to do it with my children later on. Teach self control. Then they will have grit. Yesterday, we talked about the two marshmallows experiment. Self control has a direct correlation with success, performance, and development of the person. Ask them to pay attention to how their emotions feel. Have them practice breathing slowly during a stressful situation. Let them practice slow breathing every day so they're ready for stress because life is stressful already enough. Self control. If we can teach the young people this, we will not have to read about crimes that happen, even involving teenagers, crimes of passion. Next, develop grit in them by warning them to expect setbacks. The young people should know, as sure as the sun will rise, there will be difficulties, there will be problems, there will even be failures. And sometimes failures are the best lessons that they need to learn. Explain that setbacks are natural and mostly temporary. Pick one setback they are currently dealing with and brainstorm with them solutions. Narrow down the options to top three actionable ideas, and then discuss with them, tell them, share with them how you yourself were able to overcome an obstacle or setback. Dapat naririnig ng mga kabataan ito. We should not shield them from difficulties. We have to help them be ready to face difficulties. We should not be overprotective. And then make a plan together for them to develop grit, for them to have the foresight that, yeah, there will be difficulties. I love very much handling student councils. In all my years as school teacher, I would usually end up being a moderator of a student council, moderator of a club. I love it because I get to teach students project management. And when you do project management planning with the students, you are teaching them one of the most important lessons they need to learn, foresight. We will talk about, okay, this is our project. Can you now start thinking of possible problems that will come up and what we can do to avoid those problems? Sir, baka kulang ang budget. Okay, then let's talk about how do we make sure we have enough budget. Sir, baka hindi ma-approve ng administration. Okay, then what can we do so that this project will be attractive to the administrators? Foresight, something they cannot learn in one other subject or another, but they can learn in project management outside of the classroom. So, making a plan together is one way of developing in them grit. We have an objective. There will be difficulties, but what can we do to make sure we are still able to achieve it? Complement effort. Then they will develop grit. Notice the effort that they put in. Do not disregard the fact that kahit paano, tirinabaho nila yan. Nilagyan ng effort. Pinag-isipan, pinagpaguran, pinagpuyatan. So kahit na the project, the output may be below your standard, below, okay, you let them know that they can still improve it, but do not disregard also the fact that, teka muna, pinaghirapan niya pa rin to. There was still effort in it. I appreciate your effort. Now, you can improve it by doing the following. Okay. So, when success doesn't come despite the effort, ask them why and have them write down lessons learned. The important thing is they keep on learning in what they're doing. Tell them to stick to what's really important. And what's really important? The virtues and the values and the character that we have been talking about this whole week. It's not about the grades. It's not just about the honors, the recognition. It's about the learning that they grow as a person. And then that we follow what is right, we do what is right, that we are ethical in everything that we do, and then show how to take care of body and mind so that they will not have to fall into depression, they will not have to fall into um, giving up, hopelessness. They will have grit. They will be ready to. And then I want to highlight this, ensure they get enough sleep. My dear fellow teachers, you know this. This generation of young people today, this digital generation, sometimes is called the sleep deprived generation. Think about it for a moment. They are sometimes referred to as the sleep deprived generation. Kulang sa tulog. O nga naman, kasi nga, sabi ko nung isang araw, nung bata ako, tatatlo ang TV channels, nagsa-sign off pa at 10 in the evening. Tulog na kami by 10. Not your students today. They can wake up at 2 a.m., nandyan ang more than 1 billion videos in YouTube, nandyan ang millions of videos in TikTok, in Facebook, in Instagram, nandyan ang napakaraming pwede nilang pag-aksayahan ng oras, and they do. They kill a lot of time many times in this entertainment. So, grit is very important. Let's talk about resilience. And as I did with grit, I want to start with this Jollibee commercial for you that will drive home the point about, hindi, kahit anong hirap ng buhay, let's forge ahead. May pag-asa.
Tagal kong hinintay ang araw na to. Hindi para tumanggap ng mga medalyang to. Gusto kong ibigay ang karangalan sa taong nagdala sa akin dito. Ma, narito ako ngayon dahil sa walang katulad mong pagmamahal. Yung pagmamahal na kayang tiisin ang pagod, pagtapos lang ako. Yung pagmamahal na kayang tiisin ang sariling gutom, ibigay lang ang gusto ko. Yung pagmamahal na kayang itago ang lungkot para maging masaya lang kami. Yung kayang sabihin, okay lang lahat, huwag lang bumigat ang loob ko. Alam kong hindi naging madali para sa'yo. Ma, mula nang mawala si Papa, ikaw na tumayong mama at Papa ko. Kinaya mo ang lahat-lahat dahil nangako ka sa akin ng guping yun.
Joey, anak, kakayanin ko ang lahat para sa iyo.
Kaya nga, alam kong sasabihin mo sa akin proud ka. Pero mas gusto kong sabihin sa lahat na mas proud ako sa mama ko.
Okay, that is from Jollibee. Good. Well, kakayanin ko. At sabi ng nanay, para sa iyo, gagawin kong lahat. And that's what we are. That's what we do, di ba? We parents, teachers, for the sake of the children, kahit anong hirap, the fact that you all continue teaching kahit na biglang naging ganito ang sitwasyon, now you have to give class online. Now you have to resort to modules. Now you have to, sige, tuloy pa rin natin resilience, the power to be able to recover readily from adversity or challenge. Of course, pasalamat tayo na we have been able so far to survive this pandemic in spite of this unique situation we find ourselves in. Pasalamat pa nga tayo kasi sabi ng news report kanina, kalahati raw ng adults na wala ng income, ng trabaho. And it's true because especially during yung talagang total lockdown na we could not even go out of the house, go out of the community. Marami talagang kailangan umasa sa ayuda. And it was tough. It was humiliating even for some people. But that's what has happened. So, resilience, the ability to bounce back, being able to adapt to hardships and setbacks in life. And the young people need to learn this and not just quit and give up and then resort to suicide, depression. Okay, let me just clarify also, depression is a very complicated thing. It's not just about not having resilience, not having grit, but that's the most crucial thing. If they have grit, if they have resilience, if they have self-control, if they have temperance, then they will forge ahead. Pero let's also acknowledge the fact that once a person reaches a certain stage of sadness, melancholy, depression, it's sometimes, it even sometimes become a clinical depression. And so they need help, they need a lot of prayers as well. Sometimes yun na lang ang may isip natin. Like what happened to the apostles when they were trying to expel a demon from one possessed man and they couldn't do it. They had to ask Jesus, Jesus, bakit ganon? Hindi namin ma-exorcise. And Jesus had to say, because maybe you did not pray enough and mortify enough. Because something like this can only be accomplished through prayer and sacrifice. So, you too may be dealing with a friend, a daughter, a son, a relative. We just have to rely on the power of prayer, the art of bouncing back.
Lahat tayo naghahanap ng the one. Pero paano kung dalawa sila?
Congratulations.
Ang tagal na nung pinagsamahan namin ni Paul. All these years, he's always been there for me.
Paul!
Uy! Congratulations!
Natanggap ako! Favorite ko. Naku, nag-crush ako sa presentation ko.
Si Jay naman, bago lang sa buhay ko. Pero priority rin niya to make me happy. Thanks for the help and the burger.
Sure, basta ikaw. Anne, do you trust me?
Oo naman.
Surprise!
With Paul, iba ang naging connection namin. Kilalang kilala niya ako.
Oh, got your favorite.
Kay Jay naman, somehow mas nakilala ko ang sarili ko.
just to make it through another day spent without
Paul, naniniwala ka ba na sa dami ng tao dito sa mundo, may isang destined para sa'yo?
Oo naman. Actually, I'm looking at her.
Sa'yo?
Han? Sa dami ng tao sa mundo, naniniwala ka ba na lahat sila may isang destined for them?
Ha? Bakit mo natanong?
Kasi ako dati, hindi. Until I met you. Han, tara!
Ang hirap. Pero I think it's time for me to make a choice.
Hey. You okay?
Jay. First of all, I wanna thank you sa lahat ng ginagawa mo para sa akin.
Alam kong may kaagaw ako sa puso mo. I know he means a lot to you. And I understand kung hindi.
Oo. It means so much to me. But meron ka na rin lugar dito sa puso ko eh. And every day it grows bigger.
Handa na ako to let go of the past.
and it will never be the same without you, baby.
And
Pain inside.
aneurysm daw. The doctors tried everything pero he's gone. My son is gone.
That was 4 years ago. I think it's time.
You mean you're ready to love again?
Ready to love you.
You gave me all the reasons to live. Once I've learned to love again.
Okay. Uh, yeah. Sorry, medyo mahaba ang video, but then it drives home the point about moving on, resilience, despite the difficulties. In her case, it took her 4 years. 4 years bago siya nakapag-move on. And I need to let you know, that's how love has become so complicated among the young people today. Yung sabi ng Facebook, it's complicated. Ay, talagang complicated yun. I mean, wag nating maliitin, don't belittle or don't ignore even what young people may be going through, especially if it has something to do with love. This is something we need to process with them. And you know why? Kasi the environment, the telenovelas, the movies, all of them have contributed in um, shaping the minds of the young people today, like as if love is the only supreme greatest happiness of a human being in this world. That's why you can have teenagers who will think of suicide simply because nakipag-break yung isa. That's why you will have teenagers who think the world is coming to an end once nabasted sila or they have been turned down. We need to understand more deeply ang mindset nitong mga kabataan na ito, especially with regard to how they look at love. Iba, ibang-iba. The way they feel about love, the way they, ibang klase na. So that's one of the things that we as people of a different generation have to work double time on, understanding better these young people about their mindset, their feelings, their outlook towards love. Okay? Sorry, medyo prolonged yan, pero the truth is, it's one of the main issues why parang sira ang resilience. They are not able to easily recover right away, especially with issues related to love. Sabi ng ating some of our participants relate much na umiyak kayo, no? I mean, nag-attend kayo ng seminar hindi para umiyak at para paiyakin. Tapos biglang, oh ano to? May mga cry-cry dito. Well, sometimes these are the things that we remember more about seminars than the long blah 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 talks that you listen to. But if that will bring home the point, then fantastic. We have to make the students, the young people, develop resilience, able to develop under difficult conditions. Now, thanks to this pandemic, it is teaching young people. It has forced young people to try to thrive and survive given this difficult condition. Sabi ko dati, ang problema sa generation of the 90s, early 2000, wala silang pinaghirapan. Hindi sila dumaan sa any world war, hindi sila dumaan sa Gulf War, hindi sila dumaan sa martial law. Ako, I'm a martial law baby and I cannot forget how we were conditioned to worship that government, and we were made to sing the ano yan, yung bagong lipunan hymn, ganyan. You know, I grew up thinking that I was in paradise and that the Philippines was in the best possible place until 1983, the killing of Ninoy Aquino. And then that was the only time I woke up and I realized, ay oo nga ano, 20 years dictatorship. Ay oo nga ano, it's been that long. Ay oo nga ano, bawal kami magsalita, bawal magsulat, ay, this is not right. So we went through that. And then we went through EDSA revolution. We went through many things. Tapos pagdating ng 90s, yung mga kabataan, parang wala na silang alam na okay, nagkaroon ng earthquake, ng Pinatubo. Tapos after nyan, the generation that follows that, everything was like flowery and parang yun yung complaint ko. Ganyan kayo kasi hindi kayo dumaan ng hirap. Now, the young people today, we can say, yan, buti nga, natututunan ninyo what it means to live under almost like a war. I mean, really, this pandemic is almost like war situation. Bawal lumabas, bawal ang mga bata, bawal. So, resilience. Hopefully, this situation now is forcing them to learn a very important lesson on toughness, perseverance, and being able to recover from difficulties, hardships, qualities which cushion a vulnerable child from the worst effects of adversity in whatever form it takes, and which may help a child or young person to cope, survive, and even thrive in the face of great hurt and disadvantage. So we need to let young people develop that. Keep calm, kalma lang. I mean, dadaan din yan. Kalma lang. Binasted ka ng isa. Teka muna, there are 7 billion people in the world. The one will come sooner or later. Keep calm. I mean, Don't think it's the end of the world. Research findings about resilience. The research says resilient children are better equipped to meet stress, to resist stress and adversity, cope with change and uncertainty, and to recover faster and more completely from traumatic events or episodes. That's what we have to keep on reminding the young people. Bumagsak ka ng quiz, never mind. Catch up in the next one. That's not the end yet. No, bumagsak ka ng unit test, there's another unit coming up. There's still the final exam, the final output. Never give up. Never ever give up. Bumagsak ka ng school year, it's okay. Never, it's not the end of the world. Hopefully, next time around, you are tougher, you are wiser, you are more prepared. Three key protective factors if you are to develop resilience among the kids. There should be at least one secure attachment relationship. And it's like that. The mother, the father, a best friend, one teacher who made the difference in the life of the person. I've heard of stories like that. Naghiwalay ang parents, and then the teacher provided the inspiration, motivation, encouragement. That's why, sabi ko kahapon, let's admit it, teachers, we now have more and more students coming inside our classroom, and some of them come from broken families. Some of them come from single parent households where the father is abroad or the mother is abroad or the mother left the family, or we have to step in and provide that encouragement, motivation, and resilience. Access to wider support such as extended family and friends. And then we, schools, play a very important role. Positive nursery, positive school, or positive community experiences. If you have these three, then chances are the kid, the young person, will develop resilience. We have to build it deliberately. We have to think of ways. I'm going to share with you some ways that we teachers can develop resilience among our students by teaching subjects like English, literature, Filipino here, so that we are able to address all these crises. No, pinag-usapan natin to. I spent a lot of time talking about this in the last sessions. We have to build resilience. Here are 5 ways to build resilience sa loob ng classroom as teachers. Number 1, promote self-reflection through literary essays or small group discussions. Make them read literature that talks about characters who stood up to difficulties, who were able to recover from difficulties. Books like David Copperfield, Charles Dickens' David Copperfield, short stories of Christmas Story, of never mind about your past, what is important is the present and the future. Then they spend time thinking about this. Oo nga, I have to look forward to the future. I may have committed many mistakes in the past. I have to look forward to the future. Here's a website recommended by experts that I consulted for this. Heroicimagination.org will contain literature, readings, discussion points that can be used inside the classroom to help the young people reflect more, do self-reflection. Asking them stories like this. You're teaching history. Okay, then the history is like a long story of mankind. Who was the hero in this story and why? What challenge or dilemma did the hero overcome? What personal strengths did the hero possess? What choices did he or she have to make? As they think of the answers to these questions, they effectively, really, will have to apply the same to their life. I want to be that kind of hero. My own struggle is nothing compared to what that hero had to go through. How did other people support the hero? What did the hero learn? How do we use the same personal strengths when we overcome obstacles in our own lives? And then you make them share so that group discussion now, the others will learn from each other or they will start to realize, ay, oo nga, ano, hindi ko na-realize yan. And then they start thinking more about their life in terms of how can I proceed with resilience. Here's the second, yung isa kanina, to make them read, to make them, expose them to reflections, um, make them reflect on what others have written. Ito ngayon, they themselves will write their own personal essays. Write about a person who supported you during a particularly stressful or traumatic time. How did they help you overcome this challenge? Yung mga pinagdaanan mo in the past, paano ka nakaahon? And how did those people around you get to help you? What did you learn about yourself? Write about a friend that you supported as he or she went through or was going through a stressful event. What did you do that most helped your friend? What did you learn about yourself? So, all these exercises on reflecting and then writing, making a daily journal, for example. Um, Somebody told me one of the best exercises we teachers can make our students do is to do a daily gratitude journal. Before going to bed, write down 5 things that you can be grateful for, that you should be thankful for. It makes them reflect that life is still worth living in spite of the tough times, difficulties. Write about a time in your life when you had to cope with a difficult situation. What helped and hindered you as you overcame this challenge? What learning did you take away that will help you in the future? Here's number 3. Help children and also their parents learn from student failures. Nabanggit na natin to kanina. Failure is not a bad thing, okay? Sometimes it's the best teacher, it's the best lesson that young people can read. This article is entitled Why Parents Need to Let Their Children Fail. Yan. Not necessarily that they should fail. I mean, should the children fail, the parents should take that as a wonderful learning experience. Not the time for the parents to step in and then go to the school, look for the teacher, and ask the teacher, bakit mo binagsak ang anak ko? Then the young kid will not learn from that failure. And he or she will think, I can do anything I want. Anyway, nandyan ang nanay ko, nandyan ang tatay ko para protektahan ako. Then that would have been a great failure on the part of the parents. It's okay. Failure is a very good point for lesson, point for learning. Create a classroom culture where failure, setbacks, and disappointment are an expected and honored part of learning. Okay? Establish and let me see. Let's open the whole thing. There. Establish and reinforce an atmosphere where students are praised for their hard work, for their perseverance, and for their grit, not just for grades and easy successes. So I would rather, for example, you celebrate more the most improved student. Yung bumabagsak dati, tapos ngayon becoming honor student. That most improved should be a bigger reward than the usual honors. Kasi ito talagang, it needed effort on the part of the, it needed a change of attitude, a change of mindset, etc. Hold students accountable for producing their own work, efforts from which they feel ownership and internal reward. I have to remind you, especially for those who are just joining us for the first time, this whole PowerPoint presentation can be downloaded from our Facebook page, including the recorded video of this presentation. So I noticed a number disappearing and then coming back in. maybe because Wi-Fi starts becoming problematic in your place, don't worry, you can catch whatever you may have missed in the recorded video later on. No, I will tell you again where to download or to get all these materials. And some of you are trying to copy perhaps the what is being flashed here on screen. Don't worry if you don't get to copy everything, it will be downloadable. Bring discussions about human resilience into the classroom. Whatever subject you're teaching, kaya mong ipasok ang resilience. Mathematicians who were resilient, scientists who were resilient, political leaders, history characters, literary figures who showed resilience. They are all, they can all be made part of your discussion. And then build supportive relationships with students because that's the third, sabi natin kanina, factor that can bring about resilience. When they have a strong community to count on, whether it's the family or the school or the community, as in friends. We are down to the last, and this is empathy. I don't know if there's a video. Let's see. Okay, we watched this already, so no need for that video. So we're down to the last, the third, empathy. And yesterday in the caring and kindness session, really the session yesterday on developing or creating a kind and caring school is all about developing empathy among the young people, defined as identifying with and feeling other people's concerns. Here are signs of empathy. Masasabi mo, ang bata has empathy if people with empathy say this. You look upset. Ibig sabihin, they know how to feel for other people. I understand how you feel. That's empathy. I'm sad that you got hurt. Sharing the feeling of another person. Sympathizing, actually, but different from empathizing. When a person says, that happened to me too once, it makes me feel sad for you. That's empathy. My heart is racing. I feel like I want to. You're sharing the joy of another person. That person has empathy. I'm happy for you. I bet it hurts a lot. It happened to me. Or people who do this, they have empathy. When they notice when people are hurting and feel for them, they tear up, naiiyak when they see someone crying. That's empathy. They walk up to console others in pain. That's empathy. They comfort another because they understand the hurt the person is feeling. They feel excited for others when they win. They wince when they see the hero get hurt at the movies. That's empathy. They talk soothingly to those who are going through painful times. And they mirror the facial expressions of the distressed person. These are all signs na ang tao ay may empathy. Pero ang problema is, many times nowadays, young people do not have empathy because there is less physical human contact. Because most of the people now spend more time with their screen, with their gadgets. Here are 3 steps, according to Dr. Michelle Borba, that you can use to develop empathy, to build empathy. We are down to the last 10 minutes or so. So we will have to go over this very quickly. 3 steps to develop empathy. Okay, let's talk about the first one, fostering awareness and building an emotional vocabulary. Make the young people be aware that maraming emotions, maraming feelings. Hindi lang yung nakikita sa Facebook na happy, sad, angry, thumbs down, and heart. No, there are many more. And the more we build their vocabulary of emotions, the more they will have empathy because the more they will recognize. I'll flash here, for example, just the first part of that list I showed. The previous slide showed the whole page The whole first page, meron pang second page yan. You see, there are so many emotions. Nandyan ang being afraid, being agitated, being alarmed, being angry. And then under letter C, being confused, being content, critical, cross, curious, fatigued, fearful, fidgety, frightened. Can the students detect this? What it means to be delighted, to be disappointed, to be glad, to be gloomy? If they know these terms, the more they can be sensitive. Let's go to the other half of the dictionary. Bashful, bewildered, bitter. The letter E, eager, edgy, embarrassed, encouraged, enraged. Happy, hassled, hateful, helpless. And then let's go to the second page. I mean, not yet. This is still the lower part of the first page. Let's go to the second page. May second page pa for letters I to Z. Impatient, indifferent, inferior, insecure, intense. Letter P, panicky, patient, pessimistic, pleased, proud, puzzled, terrified, tired. And then the middle part of that dictionary, jealous, jittery, joyous, lazy, leery, lonely. How many of these do we know? And then the third part, the lower part of that second page. How many of these feeling vocabulary, emotion vocabulary do the students know? The more of these they know, the more sensitive they will become to the feelings of others, then the more empathetic they will be. Step two, enhance their sensitivity to the feelings of others. Michelle Borba gives us 6 simple ways to nurture kids' sensitivity. Okay? Kasi step one, build their emotional vocabulary. Step two, make them more sensitive. And then she gives these 6 simple ways to nurture kids' sensitivity. Number one, praise sensitive, kind actions. Joanna, I notice you consoling or comforting your classmate. That's a good job. We have to be supportive of each other. So, praising sensitive, kind actions. Or, for example, you hear somebody has been bullied. You comment in the class, you know, class, it's very painful for someone to be bullied. And that's why it's wonderful if you can spend time encouraging that victim. That's a brilliant thing to do. That's an ideal thing to do. You are praising the action, not the person, not the doer, but the action of um, being a support to someone who needs it, especially who needs it more. Show the effect of sensitivity. Talk about how do other people feel, and then draw attention to non-verbal verbal feeling cues. Remind the students, remind the young people that feelings sometimes do not appear in what they say, but in certain verbal feeling cues. Ask often, how do you think he feels? The one who was teased, the one who was hurt, how do you think the person feels? And then use the formula feels, needs. Feels always comes with the needs. If the person is feeling sad, it's because he needs or she needs consolation or encouragement. If the person is very happy, normally it's because the person wants to share that excitement, that happiness. Feelings always come with a certain need. And then number 6, share why you feel the way you do. All these are meant to help the kids develop a certain sensitivity. 9 factors that favor the development of empathy. Age, the older the person gets, the more sensitive, the more empathetic he should become. That's why kids, young of lower years, many of them just think about themselves. But as they grow older, they're supposed to start thinking more and more of others. And then gender, we are told that women are more sensitive towards other people. Okay, That's a factor. Intelligence, emotional understanding, emphatic parents, parents who have great empathy stand a better chance of forming their kids to have empathy, emotional security, temperament, similarity, and then attachment. Okay, we're down to the last 3 minutes, so we will have to move forward to, sorry, I will have to go to the third step right away, which is um, third step to develop empathy by developing another person's point of view. Okay, so remember, we're trying to build empathy of the kids. First, build their emotional vocabulary. Second, help them develop sensitivity. Step three, develop empathy for another person's point of view. In other words, make them see things from the perspective of other people. They will be able to have empathy. They will be more empathetic if they know how to put themselves in the shoes of other people. In fact, that's how it is. Three simple ways to increase their ability to take different perspectives. Number one, switch roles to feel the other side. You make them perform an act, and then you tell them, okay, now pretend that you are the one being bullied, and then share the feelings that you get or that you encounter or that you feel because of that bullying or because of that teasing. So they're able to see things from the other perspective. Walk in my shoes, to put yourselves in the shoe of another, or in the shoes of another person. um, in history, for example, I know many teachers who do this. Class, for your report, you're not just going to deliver a report, you're going to pretend that you are Jose Rizal and then deliver your um, report to the class, deliver your presentation. Pretend that you are the scientist trying to discover the secret to cure to cancer, and talk about your experience. Yung putting yourself in the shoes of another person is one great way of developing empathy. Imagine how the person feels, and the more vocabulary they have of feelings that we looked at earlier, then the bigger chances they will be able to develop strong sense of empathy. Okay, classroom discipline that builds empathy. Call attention to insensitive, uncaring behavior. Ask, how would you feel? R, recognize the consequences of the behavior. And E, express and explain your disapproval of the insensitive action. So rather than just like what we said yesterday, instead of just going around, you detention, you suspension, you are punished for that, we make use of moral discipline, moral lesson as a way of disciplining. In this case, classroom discipline to build empathy of the students. Finally, just to share with you, Building Moral Intelligence book by Dr. Michelle Borba, where she talks about the 7 essential virtues. Because in the end, ang gusto natin is the young people, because of this grit, resilience, and empathy, they will grow up to be men and women with character, of character. Pero what does character mean? Sabi ni Michelle Borba, if you are to make your students grow up to be moral, make sure you build these 7 essential virtues in them. Sorry. Empathy, conscience, self-control, the 3 foundational virtues. And then respect, kindness, tolerance, and fairness. Empathy is number 1 in her list. And then grit and resilience will fall under self-control. And then even when no one is looking, conscience. If we are able to develop these 7 essential virtues, but first the core, the first 3, from which will follow the rest, then lalaki ang anak ninyo, ang inyong estudyante, with moral intelligence. Okay? Well, the time in my clock now is 11. So let me finish Aristotle thought. People do not naturally become morally excellent or practically wise. They become so, if at all, only as the result of lifelong personal and community effort. This seminar is nothing else but an invitation to all of you, dear teachers. Please, let's work together. Let's put our act together so that itong mga kabataan ngayon will have grit, will have resilience, will have empathy, will grow up to be men and women of character. Because character is destiny. Let me show you a proof of that. The a research done by the couple Samuel and Pearl Oliner, and they put their research into a book entitled The Altruistic Personality. Pinag-aralan nila yung in-interview nila yung mga those who saved Jews during the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews, I mean 6 million people were killed, including Catholics, in fact, Christians also. Hitler put to death a total of around 6 million. But there were many who saved the lives of the Jews. And in interview ni Samuel and Pearl Oliner, they asked them, why? Why did you do that? Why did you save the Jews? Ang sagot nila lahat, because that was how we were raised. Our parents raised us to take care of those people in need. That's how our teachers taught us. So you see, in the end, character can be a matter of life and death. It's worthwhile, therefore, teaching for character. The stability of our lives depends upon character. Character, not passion, is what will keep marriages together, especially now when many marriages are falling apart. We need to make sure the young people will have character, because passion will not be enough if they are going to be successful even in their marriage. And character enables people to survive, to endure, to transcend misfortunes. Well, I have to end. I have been mentioning this to all the participants in the past days. If you want a certificate for this conference, please send the email to catalystpds@gmail.com. Write the full name you want to appear in the certificate, and then the title of this seminar. Please don't forget the title, because I received so many emails of the past days seminars also. Okay, and then as I mentioned earlier, the presentation is going to be available in the Facebook page, Catholic School Teachers Materials. So you can just join us there and access all the materials so that you can use them. For those of you who were logged out because of weak internet, so sorry about that, but that's the reality of life here in the Philippines. No? And if you have questions about the presentation today, or even for Teacher Hedy, for example, I can forward to her, send the email to catalystpds@gmail.com. And I hope this has been useful for you. I hope you get ideas, and I hope this will help us all become better teachers. Okay? Those who emailed and got already your certificates, fantastic. If you do not get your email, if you do not get your certificate, just follow up. I received an email of a self-entitled teacher saying, "Sir, asa na yung certificate ko?" And we are more empathetic than that. No, give us a bit of time. Just remind us nicely if you do not receive your certificate. Maybe it's because nagkakapatong-patong lang yung mga emails na yan. Okay, it's 11:07 and it's the fifth, the last of this 5 days, 5 seminar series. Thank you so much for those of you who have attended from day one. Sir John Watt, Sister, I saw coming in every day. Thank you very much for sticking it out with us. This is a fantastic way of starting 2021. And I really hope your time has been it has been worthwhile for you joining us, attending these sessions. And please don't forget to go to Facebook page so that you can download the reading materials, the handouts, and the PowerPoint presentations, as well as the link to the YouTube recorded video of this presentation, so that for those of you who were logged out, you can catch there whatever you may have missed. Okay, so I think we've come to the traditional mandatory pictorials, right? We need to have sort of class picture taking. And so I invite everyone to kindly please turn on your screen, your videos, if you can. If you cannot, no problem. Your name appears there. And we are going to do 3 pages of pictorials. And so I will have to do it 3 times. Okay, let us now give our biggest smile. 1, 2, 3, smile. Great. Page 2. Open your videos, please. And we are going to give our biggest, widest, fakest smile so that people will think, uy, ang sasaya ng participants ng seminar. 1, 2, and 3. Fantastic. And finally, the third page. Please turn on your videos, and with that biggest, widest, fakest smile, people will think, ay, ang saya ng seminar. Sana nandun din ako. 1, 2, and 3. Great. Congratulations to all of you for surviving this online seminar. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your effort in being with us, and I hope to see you in our future seminars. I hope you do not get tired of joining us. As I said, the Monday, Tuesday seminars on Teach Like Jesus and Stop Teaching, Start Evangelizing will be repeated. They are not only for religion teachers, they're for teachers who want to make a big difference in the lives of the students, especially when it comes to the faith. And so you're all still invited to be able to catch that January 21 and 22. I will post the announcement in our Facebook page as well as in emails. Okay? Great. So with that, I'm going to end the meeting in 5. God bless everyone. Goodbye. 4. Thank you very much. 3, 2. You've been such fantastic audience. Hope to see you again. God bless. Goodbye. 1.